Good morning, everyone. Clint McLaughlin here, Midwest Market Management. I've got Riley Sykard on with me here today. It is Tuesday, August 11th. USDA WASDE report tomorrow, Riley. First shot at national yield. Certainly been for the most part, a pretty favorable growing season. We've had some good weather scares along the way that have, proven to provide some opportunity marketing wise, and now we're kind of down here in the lower end of the recent ranges. Still some heat in the forecast, but overall, obviously traders have been kind of viewing the forecast as improved and mostly non-threatening. What do you see here today?
You kind of hit the nail on the head there. Weather doesn't look nearly as frightening as it did 2 weeks to a month ago, especially showing rain over the next 5 days out in the western belt. To me, that's the key and the name of the game when people are looking at weather maps right now. You're looking at those trouble areas in the Dakotas. So any rain seen out there is definitely a bad thing for the markets, but I'm sure farmers will take everything they can get in that area. So one thing as we get into this here, fresh that came out yesterday afternoon, crop conditions report. We're getting to the point now where I think it's really interesting to look at this. Most specifically, North Dakota, down 10%, only a 27% good to excellent rating. And Clint, you and I were just looking at it before we started recording. Their poor to very poor rating is 40%. So there's no doubt that they're hurting in that area, and you feel for those guys up there. But as you look across the rest of the country, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Eastern Belt, good to excellence, all in the 60s to 70% plus range. So as a country, I think we're still expecting a big crop, Clint. I know we've seen on the corn side, yield guesses started to come out. I know there was one that was dropped last week calling for a 184 and change corn yield. I've also seen a lot of private estimates somewhere in that 180 to 181 range. So I'd say there's some speculation considering the USDA is right in the middle of those ranges, and we're going to find out a lot more tomorrow. But when we're still talking about a 180 plus national yield, I'd call that a pretty good crop, Clint.
Yep, absolutely. So
soybean conditions wise, we did drop 1% in the good to excellent rating. The key there again, North Dakota really having some big issues in that state this year. However, rest of the country, slim to no changes, a lot of down 1, up 1. Minnesota down 3, specifically because of that southwest corner where they're the driest. And then Nebraska up 5 after getting some rains last week. But moral of the story is 62% good to excellent rating is still a pretty good rating. So on the bean national yield perspective too, Clint, beans can tolerate a drought a lot better than corn. There are definitely areas that are going to have big issues, but I think on the bean side, we're expecting a pretty solid national crop there as well. So with that said, we'll move right ahead here. 1 to 5 day maps. Starting out, temperatures can see in the northern majority of the growing season, or of the growing area, excuse me, temperatures in the 80s without any major concerns. You got to go to Kansas and Missouri before it gets really warm. I would like to point out, I feel like I've been glossing over it pretty quickly. State of Kansas has been 90 plus degree temperatures, I'd say now for about a month straight. The reason there's not more talks about it is they have had more rain than they normally do. So
it's showing signs of stress, though, for sure. And I have actually had some customers out there that are starting to move cattle on pasture ahead of schedule just because conditions in the pastures are diminishing rapidly. So I do believe that is certainly starting to take a significant toll out there.
Thank you for that. So you can tell that much time with 100+ degree temperatures isn't exactly ideal. But if they're just starting to show signs of stress and we're already in the, I'm not going to say the middle of August, but pretty close to it, how much damage is being done at this point, it's hard to tell. But 6 to 10 days shows a very similar story in that area. Temperatures in the upper 90s to hundreds. And you can see a little bit of warmer temperatures sneaking into the western belt, Dakotas, Nebraska in the mid to upper 80s. But if you're well watered, mid to upper 80s is not an issue. It's just those areas that we already know are stressed out that are going to be hurting. So temperatures over the next 10 days, I wouldn't call a big factor in what's going on. So looking at the last 2 weeks of rainfall, can see that the rains that have came through over the last week are continuing to come. This map just keeps getting darker, especially in Illinois, eastern Iowa, Indiana. If we move ahead here to the 1 to 5 day, you can see there is still more chances in the mix as well, especially the key state, South Dakota, getting some rain, North Dakota getting some small chances up there, some areas looking to get an inch plus. And I think they definitely take that, Clint, but how much damage is being done in the meantime, I don't know. It's tough to gauge. So that's where we're sitting there in the 1 to 5 day. This isn't anything new. We knew this rain was coming. And 6 to 10 days shows some chances of rain in the most northern growing states, Minnesota, Wisconsin. North Dakota does have some more chances, but the rest of the country looks pretty dry. So that is a little bit different.
Yeah, and a lot of that North Dakota stuff, I think that's just going to be too little too late.
Yeah, you and I were just discussing that as well. As we're getting, this map's getting you into the 20th of August. At what point does the rain not quite factor in as much as it did before? And by the time you're getting to the end of August, you're probably getting to that point where it's not quite having that same effect. Putting everything together, final map of the day, the 1 to 13 day. Moral of the story, and this is what the markets are trading, a lot of color on that map. So rain in the forecast in the month of August, not a good thing for the markets, but a good thing for the crops. So that's all I have today in terms of maps in my report. So
sounds good, Riley. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, Clint McLaughlin, Riley Sykard, Midwest Market Management. Thanks a lot and have a great day.
This material has been prepared by a sales or trading employee or agent of Midwest Market Management and is in the nature of a solicitation. This material is not a research report prepared by of Midwest Market Management Research Department. By accepting this communication, you agree that you are an experienced user of the futures markets, capable of making independent trading decisions, and agree that you are not and will not rely solely on this communication in making trading decisions. Distribution in some jurisdictions may be prohibited or restricted by law. Persons in possession of this communication indirectly should inform themselves about and observe any such prohibition or restrictions. To the extent that you have received this communication indirectly and solicitations are prohibited in your jurisdiction without registration, the market commentary in this communication should not be considered a solicitation. The risk of loss in trading futures and/or options is substantial, and each investor and/or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated by simulated historical tests of strategies, is not indicative of future results. Trading advice is based on information taken from trades and statistical services and other sources that of Midwest Market Management believes are reliable. We do not guarantee that such information is accurate or complete, and it should not be relied upon as such. Trading advice reflects our good faith judgment at a specific time and is subject to change without notice. There is no guarantee that the advice we give will result in profitable trades.